to those divers hoping to get to the stern section and assess that, I mean, how soon are they going to be able to do that? They're on standby at the moment. What are you waiting for?
Yeah, again, it's all weather dependent. I mean, the forecast is giving the weather easing. But before the divers will actually go out and actually dive, the salvage master's got to go out there and assess the situation, make sure it's safe to do so. I mean, I think the other thing that we need to be mindful of as well is where Rena is situated on the reef. They'll have to do what they call a survey of the area with a survey boat with sonar, etc., just to map the area out. And obviously that's going to take a little bit of time, but it's all weather dependent.
How's the weather looking?
Like I say, the weather is looking like it is settling over the next few days. But having said that, I think what we need to be mindful of is when all too often you see a nice sunny day on the beach at the mount, the ship is out there in an exposed place, and you're always going to get this residual sea running through. So it may appear to be flat calm on the beach at the mount, but it's often quite different at sea.
So is that survey of the reef, is that taking place now, or is that taking...
No, they've got to wait until the weather dies, because if you think really, the survey is based on soundings and scanning equipment, and if the boat's moving up and down quite a lot significantly, it can disrupt the information being taken. So they've got to make sure whatever information that they get from the depth survey is credible.
And the earliest, you reckon?
Again, the decision's going to be made by the salvage master. He's the person on site, he's the one who assesses it, he's the one who makes the decision.
How is the forward section, how stable is that on the reef?
Again, well, as you can see by the photographs, the forward section is badly damaged. I mean, there's no doubt there. Again, the salvage team did land on the fore section yesterday to make an assessment of it. But, I mean, the fore section, as we know it, it's unchanged from yesterday. But obviously, from the photographs, from what we depict, in a really badly damaged condition.
What about with the debris or lack of debris coming ashore? Is it safe for people to swim along Waihee Beach in South Makutu in the area?
Well, Alex, do you want to comment on that? Brendan?
With regards to swimming on the beaches, we can only suggest that you contact your local surf lifesaving club and discuss it with them. We have not closed any beaches. Most of the areas that are affected have been contained and managed. So it's essentially up to surf lifesaving clubs to that.
So is it safe or not? But you don't know.
As far as we're concerned, as long as there's no debris, then it's safe. But we can't make that statement. It has to come from your council and surf lifesaving club. As far as we're concerned, we collected a great deal of debris last night and kept it off the beaches.
Is it still the same type of debris?
Yes, yeah, it's still paper, it's still timber. Timber is probably your most hazardous of it, in case you do get hit with swell with the timber. But as I said, most of it was collected last night. We've actually been very lucky.
What can the surf lifesavers do that anyone couldn't do just standing on the beach? I mean, presumably they don't have sonar equipment or anything. Some of the debris could be underneath the surface.
It's the same as what we've all got. I mean, and they can only do the visual inspection of what's there.
They also have the rubber duckies and they're able to do inspections on the surface.
Captain John, a question for you. Just ahead of the accommodation block, there was some buckling and there was some splitting back in the last couple of weeks before Christmas. What's the prospect that the accommodation block rearwards could separate from the rest of that rear section that's sunk?
Well, again, like Dave says, they have to get down there and see what the status is of that particular part of the vessel. But there's no buoyancy there in the back end now, it's all underwater. But they would have to get out and look to see what's happened there.
What happens if it does split off? I mean, obviously, as you guys have said before, there's a lot of weight back there. If it does split, what does that mean for the superstructure ahead of it, where all the containers
are?
Well,
it's just the same. I mean, it's in the same condition now. It's underwater. Both sections are in the wave surge zone, so it will be affected by any kind of heavy seas again.
Would it mean that structure would change ahead of the accommodation block where the containers are, that therefore 400 containers, would they come out? Could they come out? Or?
It could do, but again, we have to assess. So we have to go down and assess and see what the situation is underwater.
You mentioned the patches of oil that you observed in the overflight. Is that more or less than what you saw yesterday? Sorry, I wasn't.
I don't know that it's more or less. It's probably spreading of what we have seen, and that will continue to happen.
And so what direction is that heading?
It's heading generally in a southerly, southeasterly direction. So it will change as the weather changes. It will change. So generally southerly.
So more towards mark 2 still.
In terms of what those areas should expect, is it going to be little patches of oil, or are we going to see?
It depends entirely how it breaks up in the action of the surf. We just can't predict that.
This oil that's coming, the black oil now, you guys have talked about old oil resurfacing and the black stuff, but just give us an idea of the consistency of it and what it's going to when it appears. Like, it's not going to be like the slick as we've seen.
No. We're looking at fairly small, and they tend to come up and then they spread out in the water. So it'll change over a period of time because it's obviously oil that's been sitting
It's been sitting in the ship for months.
That's correct.
We'll just take a couple more.
Oh, I was just going to ask if you know yet what proportion of the arena is now submerged, or David?
Sorry, what was the question?
What proportion of the arena is now submerged of the
From what I heard yesterday.
John, can you help with that one? What proportion of the arena is submerged?
That is the proportion that we have. We need to obviously go and assess. You can see, I think about it was about 75% of this after end is underwater.
They've been able to establish just what would be the likely cemetery.
Not at all at the moment. They have to really. Everything is changed on this after section, so they need to go down and have a look to see what the situation is. And that's why we've always said they have to go down and assess when there's changes like this. To assess it.
Saturation diving, though, is obviously one thing.
Not really, because it's almost it's not too far down. I mean, that's the top end of the accommodation. It's not too far down at all.
So despite the reef, that wouldn't move at all, then
we don't know. Again, we have to go down and assess what the status is, how it is sitting on the reef.
I don't know whether this is the permanent resting place for the ship.
And how far down is the sea?
Below the vessel, I think it was about 30 metres, 35 metres.
They haven't thrown up any worst case scenario timeframes?
Not at all. Again, it all depends on the assessment of the vessel when we go down there.
Okay, we'll take one more.
Just in regards to the oil, like you said that none's come ashore in Montefort. Where has it, because I understand that there was some in the mount, is that right? But where